Okay, and just making sure we are rolling. Yeah, okay, good morning. Is it still morning? Yes, it is. Okay, I wanted to say a little bit more about yesterday's post because Trey brought up an excellent question that is important. And I realize anyway, so there's lots of pieces here, and so there's a further refinement that I wanted to bring to the table. Morning, Kyle. Hey. So yesterday I was talking about trust, and to look at any place where we're not trusting, that there's that actually indicates a lack of trust in ourselves, right? And that we can look at that and we can address that, right? And that is good to do. So that still is true. Any place where we are not trusting, there is shadow. So shadow being a belief or action or thought pattern that's rooted in fear or shame or a sense of our value being dependent on something else. Okay, so anytime we don't trust, shadow is present. And then, but Trey asked the excellent question of what about those situations where I removed myself because I didn't feel, she didn't use the word safe, but I didn't feel like now was the time to address it or like I could address it then. So discernment absolutely still stands. And in a sense, Trey, yes, you're mistaking the two, but okay, so sometimes we still do need to make the choice to remove ourselves from a situation, or we're going to choose to not engage in a situation. But it doesn't come from a place of not trusting. It comes from a place of, is this going to serve me or not in terms of my forward motion? And that isn't quite what I want to say, but it still stands, right? And making the choice accordingly. And yet, if we ever choose to not engage in something because we don't feel strong enough, we know that shadow is at play. That doesn't mean that we should push ourselves into doing it. So that's what I'm going to talk about in a moment because that is really important. But it does mean that even as we step out of the situation, we need to know, okay, there's a belief running that is not true, that I'm believing, that is where I am making my sense of okayness dependent on something external that I don't feel I'm going to get in this situation. And so I ultimately feel like I'm not going to be okay in this situation. Okay, so it's not about having to engage, it's about looking closely at the reason why you don't and looking the underneath your reason for saying no. So that statement is literally in the moments where we're not trusting, certainly out of a sense of, am I going to be okay, right? We're literally saying, I'm not strong enough. I'm not strong enough to do that. And that's not true on a fundamental level because our value and our sense of okayness is entirely independent from anything external. That's just true. And it's our journey is about reconnecting with that capacity that each of us has. Um, yeah, we have to know that if we don't feel strong enough, shadow is still alive because when we eliminate or have seen, when we have seen all of our shadow and returned to the immediate reality of the inherent value of who you are just inherently and what you are just inherently, we understand that we're actually invincible. Not invincible like my body's gonna live forever or won't die or be hurt if it's, but my state of okayness and wellness is utterly independent of anything external. Nobody can affect that. And we know, insofar as we are affected by something external, shadows at play, okay? So that is really important. Then, okay, I want to come back to this idea of how because it is also very important, the how of how you say yes, of how we say yes, of how we step into something. And there's different qualities in which we can do it, right? So, and the quality with which you say yes, good morning, Kimberly, thank you. Um, Great to see you here. This is relevant for you. So, the quality of how we say yes is very important, okay? Are we saying yes? My phone always wants to talk to me while I'm doing these things. Okay. Are we saying yes from a place of like, yes, or are we saying yes as in, I trust that there is something more for me to experience because there always is. The universe is wisdom ripening. There is always further to go. And if we can step into the adventure with that, knowing that truth, that there is no way, if you step into something with the knowing that the universe is wisdom ripening, and if you step forward in that energy, that is what you will get. Further wisdom, whether or not that person actually has that wisdom or not. But I also, as we develop this, we start to recognize where and when and how those people are who do have more wisdom than us. And that's just a wise thing to do, is to step forward with faith into the reality, the possibility that they're holding. So that, just to say, the universe is wisdom ripening is a translation of a Buddhist mantra, which is associated with a particular deity called Manjushri, and the mantra that goes with that practice is "Hail to the wisdom that is ripening," right? And so yeah, okay, but excellent. Okay, there was something else. Oh yeah, so I wanted to come back to the quality with which you say yes and you step forward. So the problem is, often we feel like the problem is we're in the paradigm that we're in, right? Whatever reality you're in is your reality. And so it's hard for us to understand that there are better, more open, more expansive realities and ways of being accessible to us, because this is our reality, right? And we don't have that reality yet. And so it's hard to trust that it's real. And yet, again, that's all that is happening, is the ongoing expansion, healing, alignment, uh, 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 furthering of the universe, of each of us as a facet of that, right? That's so cool. Um, and so, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the problem is, we feel like people are like, do this, it's going to help you. And we're like, but we're in our current state and our current quality. And we're like, but that's like, we often think that what people are asking of us is more, that we got to do more or be more, or like, I need to summon up more effort to do the thing. And that is, I mean, maybe somebody's asking you to do that, right? And then that's again where the discernment piece comes in. You have to feel into it. But people who are further in terms of the development of wisdom are not going to be asking you to do that, because that's not wise. And that's not the most effective space from which to be operating, right? A space of ease and precision and persistence. That is the space to be operating from. And so, um, but then it comes back to trust, right? We need to trust that that and we come to trust also by asking questions. We come to trust by bringing our truth unrestrained, fully to the table, and we see how that is met. That is your test, okay? And that's what will develop true trust, right? Is you bring what is actually happening for you without any filter to the table of the dialogue, and if they can meet it with responses that further your understanding of your own experience, that is worth trusting, right? So that's certainly my experience of my most appreciated mentors and guides is that's what happens. I say they bring something, it doesn't make sense to me, and I say, wait, like what about this? Or like, okay, I hear that, and this is what is coming up for me, and then they get to address that. But if you don't bring what's true for you in that moment to the table, they can't, right? So and you need to look at why you're not bringing what's true for you in that moment to the table, right? Is it because usually it's fear, right? Or you're judging yourself, you're kind of like, well, and that's like extra sign that it's shadow, right? So bring that dialogue or that storyline to the table, and guaranteed that's what's necessary for your own wisdom to ripen, right? Okay, so I just want to say one more thing about the energy with which we say yes. Okay, because the energy with which we say yes and with which we trust is important. So, Trey, I think part of what's gone on for you in the past is that you've said yes out of this like, yes, I will do it, right? Because for you, it's the development of that lover space. So, and for many of us, certainly for me too, that was largely it, right? It was like, I got to do the thing. Yes, I'm going to do the thing. And while sometimes we need elements of that energy, we need firstly, that foundational trust that the universe is not only supporting us, that there's not any other possibility other than us moving forward. There is no possibility. So, other than wisdom ripening, right? Um, so look at the ways in which you say yes, and we want to endeavor to say yes out of the trust that, yeah, this is going to carry me forward no matter what, and that's actually a decision that you get to make, right? You get to hold yourself in that place of certainty, which again brings it back to trust of yourself, because it's you that translates your experience into wisdom out of that trust that you have the capacity to do that. And so it's good to look at where and why and which experiences happen where you're not able to do that. And there's no shame or blame, that's human. So where are the experiences that happen where you're not able to translate the experience into learning? Because that's where shadow's at play, right? So going to use this dance piece I was working on as an example that I've already shared about, but I'll share about again, where I got into a place where I was judging myself. Aw, hi Kaylee, lovely to see you here. I got myself into a place where I would go into the dance and I'd already be like judging myself as to like, am I doing it right? I'm not doing it right. And there was a possibility the possibility for me to do it wrong. And as soon as that possibility is even possible, we lose our capacity to learn as much as possible from that moment that presents. So this is a great question. Okay, so in moving forward, is it not true there are also times when you will be set back even if the clock is moving forward? No, it is not true. It is not true. It feels like it in the moment from our limited point of view, but it is not true. All that has happened is you have come up against the growth edge for you. And you've been really, it's a biggie. Okay? And in terms of like, our society judges our sense of forward based on our worldly success. That has nothing to do with your movement forward. Your movement forward is only dependent on your accrual of wisdom. And your accrual of wisdom is your ability to find that state of enoughness and utterly okay no matter what. Okay? And so wonderful. You've hit an edge where it's like, oh my God, this is catching me. Perfect. You have found a growth edge where you will gain wisdom. And so it's for you to look into What is happening here? Rather than rejecting what's happening, what is happening with genuine curiosity? And that is what is going to uncover and reveal your learnings. Okay, but the more energy you put into resisting whatever is present, the less energy you have to actually learn from that moment. So again, back to this solo, that's what was happening for me. I'd go in and I'd do the shape and I'd be like, fuck, I'm in my head, or like, oh, that's not it. And instead of taking each shape, and even if it was like wobbly or unsure, and inhabiting that moment fully. Okay, what am I doing here? What is here? And it was beautiful. It was in watching Margie, this is my dance mentor, Margie Gillis, do a run of her solo, a blue, utterly life shattering, changing work of art. In watching her do it, it's the way she holds each shape that she does, none as sort of classically beautiful. Each one, though, is so human. And because she inhabits each like gritty, pained, some glorious, some like wretched shapes, as she inhabits each one fully without any judgment, it's so beautiful. It is just so beautiful, and it is so moving. And what I realized out of that is, oh God, Ruth, like just be the shape that you're actually doing, be what is actually present for you. And that's also how it deepens. That's how the work deepens, is what is present. And you know, a dance is just a little microcosm of life. So the same is true for every moment of life. What is this? What am I doing? And yeah. And yeah. Okay, so that was a lot. I think that's everything I needed to say. Yeah, so the kind act is still, maybe still, to remove ourselves from the situation. But we need to remove ourselves from the situation looking at, okay, looking with kindness at, okay, why why am I not strong enough? What's the belief that's running? I know for a fact that belief is not true intellectually, though part of me thinks, deeper part of me thinks it is true. So let's find out what that is, and let's heal that. Let's open that, and then I'm going to be able to go into that situation on effing touched. Yeah, no matter what happens. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, have a beautiful, beautiful day if you're out there. Yeah, much appreciation to each and everyone. Do ask questions. I really appreciate questions. It's generous to ask questions if they come up, right? You don't have to fabricate them, but if there are genuine questions for you, please ask, because it carries, it helps me further things, and it's gonna help others, and hopefully it'll help you too. Okay, bye for now.